Well, hello and welcome once again to the DCL podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly. Well, welcome back to the DCL podcast, and we are excited today to bring back listener Carol. How are you doing today, Carol?
I'm doing awesome.
We had a fun time talking about your Halloween on the High Seas and Very Merry Cruise, and before we go into what we're going to talk about today, I need to introduce the co-host of the show as well. How are you doing today, Christy?
Hi, I'm well.
Today, we thought we'd bring Carol back because she's been on so many different cruises and kind of lean on your knowledge, Carol, of Disney Cruise Line and some of your experiences there. But before we jump into that, you just got back from a recent cruise with Carnival. That's correct?
I did just 3 days ago.
Okay, and that you're from Jacksonville, and I believe the cruise left from Jacksonville, right?
It did.
And how many days was it, and where'd you guys go?
It was a 4-night cruise, and it went to Freeport and Nassau, and then had a day at sea.
Okay.
Oh, scintillating ports.
Yes.
And why did you guys pick this cruise, or why did you guys decide to do it?
Well, a couple of reasons. Number one was cost, and it was sort of a last-minute idea. My son was looking for a birthday party, and some of the parties can be pretty expensive for kids. And, you know, the price on this cruise was actually really, really low. And we said, why don't we instead, for a long weekend, we'll take him on a cruise. He loves cruising, and so does his mom and dad.
Now, you've been on Carnival before, so was this your second or third cruise with Carnival?
This was our second Carnival cruise, and it was on the same ship that we cruised on 2 years ago, approximately. But they've upgraded it since then, or done all of the renovations, and it's definitely improved quite a bit from the last time we were on.
And what did they upgrade? Did they just redo the cabins, or kind of the general areas where everybody goes, or the restaurants, or what did they do to it?
They redid everything. So before, the hallways were very dark and just awful, like orange and brown. I don't know how to explain it, but you felt like you were walking into the 70s. And even the cabins were pretty old, and you know, the wood that was in the cabins was kind of, some of it places peeling and having other problems. So they redid the cabins as well. It was interesting, though, actually, on the sinks we noticed. We thought they had put in new sinks, but no, it looks like they just took a sink top and put it over the old sink tops. But it definitely still looks better than it looked before. But the general spaces were updated as well. They improved the top deck with actually having like a little waterworks and water park area for the kids with some slides. They had a Guy's Burger joint that was added, as well as, and I forget the name of it, but it's a little Mexican
Blue
place
Iguana.
as well. Blue Iguana, yes, loved that. That was good. So they added those two, and that was really nice to the outside, and a couple of new bars also to the outside pool area. So it really helped a lot because the ship was really needing an update.
Those are the Carnival's Fun Ship 2.0
Yes,
improvements.
that's what I've learned, and it sounds like that's now on all the ships.
That is what their goal is.
So with the Blue Iguana and Guy Fieri's Burgers, is that all included with the price, or are those separate restaurants that you have to pay separate for?
No, those were included, which
Okay.
I thought was great.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
And they're good, aren't they? Did you eat at Guy's Burger?
yeah, we ate there twice, 2 lunches, and absolutely loved their burgers. Love all the toppings that you can add and everything. Really good. And then we had tacos and huevos rancheros one morning out of what did you call it? The Blue Iguana? Is that what it's called? No,
it is.
I keep forgetting. And yeah, those were really good too.
How about, since we're on the topic of food, before you jump into your cabins that you guys booked, let's talk a little bit about the buffet and also main dining. What were your experiences with that?
We definitely preferred main dining to at least the Lido's buffet. We enjoyed Guy's Burgers and the Blue Iguana, but we were not super impressed with the buffet. We only tried it for breakfast a couple of times, and like I said, not very impressed. So we ended up getting the huevos rancheros outside for breakfast from then on. But then even at lunchtime, we stopped there one time for lunch and ended up going back out there to get from Guy's, and then dinner we stopped by, and we definitely preferred the main dining. And then we ended up doing the anytime dining, which I really enjoyed. because we're just never on time otherwise for dining on the Disney cruise. So it's nice just being able to go whenever we want. So I thought that was a real plus.
Is that a choice on Carnival then? You can either do anytime dining or set dining. Does it cost different, or is it just what you want to sign up for?
No cost difference. It's just whichever one you want to sign up for. The only caveat is that sometimes you might have to wait. There's a possibility, but we never had to wait more than probably 3 to 5 minutes to actually get a table. So it was never a problem for us.
Okay.
What time did you typically go to dinner?
We went anywhere from between 5:30 and 6:30. So maybe that's like an early bird dinner, but with 3 kids, that's what works out best for us.
I'm a big fan of early bird dinner, so.
Me
Definitely.
too.
Well, what about
Okay, I have a dining question, Steve, before
Go
we
for
move
it.
on.
Yep.
Do you guys eat warm chocolate melting cake?
We do. I guess it's not as good, though, as the chocolate souffle that you could get like at Paulo's. Oh, my gosh, I love that. You know what I'm talking
one
about.
though, yes. Oh, yes.
Can't even compare.
But one you're paying a lot of money for, and one is
You
included
are.
in the cruise fare.
You're right. And it's good. And I shouldn't compare. That's my fault. I should not compare. It's good. My husband really liked it. He liked it because it was a little bit different. And
You know
it was good.
What's sad is that, and I don't know if you have heard from other shows, Carol, but I'm celiac, so I can't have gluten. The Carnival's warm chocolate melting cake is actually better than the Palo chocolate souffle. Now, I like the Palo chocolate souffle, but they mess mine up a lot.
Oh, gotcha.
So yeah, it's like it's often cooked all the way through, or it's very nice of them to give me food that won't make me ill. But yeah, my warm chocolate melting cake is usually better, which is sad.
Well, it's not like it's bad though. The chocolate, the
Right.
warm melting chocolate cake is good. A lot of people love that.
Yeah.
So, and it was on the menu every single night, so you can pick it every single night.
Which is what I did on my last Carnival cruise.
Well, let's move into the cabin then. What type of cabin did you guys book, and how did it compare? Kind of, I guess, with the cabins on Disney. Are they as big, or what are your thoughts on that?
So this time we got an inside cabin. I told you we were really saving money.
Uh-huh.
So we got an inside cabin, and we had 5 people in one room, and I would probably guess that it was, and I could be wrong. I'd probably need to look up the actual numbers, but it felt like maybe half the size of what we got on a Disney cruise. So we walk in and the kids are like, oh, where's the rest of the room? I'm like, no, this is it, guys. So,
Yeah,
so get comfortable.
Carnival ships fleet wide are smaller than the Disney cabin are going to be, but the older ships are even smaller. Yeah, the inside cabin is significantly smaller than the Disney inside cabin.
But I mean, the nice thing, though, about Carnival is that you are allowed to put 5 people in that small room, even if you're cramped. So just keep that in mind. Yes, you're allowed to do it, but do you want to do it? It's fine with 3 kids, like 3 small kids, and probably get tough with teenagers and that sort of thing. But it was fine overall. I mean, you walk in and there's the bathroom on the left-hand side and a closet on the right, and definitely not as much space for putting your stuff as there are in the Disney on the Disney ships either. But and then you've got basically the king bed in the main area and a television in the corner, and then coming out from above the king bed is one twin bed that pulls down, and then another twin bed across from that. And so it makes it very difficult to maneuver. And the person who's on the far end of the king bed, I don't know how many times, that was me, bonked my head, of course, trying to get, because it's very small and you have these beds kind of coming out from everywhere. And then my daughter, they brought in like a cot, like a small bed for her that fit in the only space there was left, basically. And she was placed there. So it was interesting when people were trying to like get up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night or anything like that. It causes a little bit of ruckus for everyone, but we made it work.
Well, I'm guessing if you're in a cabin like that, you're not necessarily hanging out in your cabin pretty much for the whole cruise. You're out and about doing things. So
we did not spend a ton of time in the cabin. That's correct.
But as a family, do you tend to? I mean, when you're cruising on Disney or other in other cabins, do you tend to spend a lot of time in the cabins, or are you kind of out and about doing things?
We spend more time, I would say, on the Disney cruises in the cabin. Just we don't mind taking a little bit longer to get ready. Kids are watching the shows because they have so many great shows that you can watch, and then hanging out on the balcony because often we'll have a balcony. So then sometimes we'll put the kids in the kids club. and just hang out on our balcony, the two of us, and relax. And that's kind of nice. So of course we didn't do that. But what they did have this one channel that was like crazy channel on Carnival that played cartoons that I've never seen in my life, and neither had my kids, just random strange cartoons. But they loved that. So that was interesting. It actually kept them interested, having these strange cartoons. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah, something different, huh?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay, well, so how about entertainment? What did the kids do, and what did you and your husband do when you were on the ship?
So the first day we really got a lot of time, I think, up by the waterworks area, which was good because they ended up closing it. The day we wanted to do it the most was in Freeport and utilize that waterworks area. And it was strange, the way that they had to dock, the ship was slightly tilted. So then what was happening was all the water was pouring out of, it was all pouring out of the kids' water area and the pools as well. So they kind of had to close everything because it was just too much water going everywhere. And that was disappointing because we hadn't planned anything in Freeport, and that was kind of our plan. We were going to hang out there. But anyway, they liked that, and that was fun, having those water slides and that extra play area, and it was different from what they were used to with the Disney cruises. They did go to the kids club occasionally, but with the kids club is so much different on Carnival. It's not just open like all day, which means you can drop them off kind of whenever you want and just plan that way, whereas you almost have to plan around it. So they'll have certain hours that it'll be open. Okay, we'll be open from 2 to 5, then again from 8 to 10, and anything past 10 o'clock, then they charge, which makes it a little bit difficult for us because a lot of the cool things we wanted to do on the ship at night were after 10 o'clock. And maybe we're being cheap, but with 3 kids, then it was like $45 or $50 an hour that we'd pay extra to leave because it's like $15 a kid or so per hour after that. So with the 3 of them, of course, that adds up. So we kind of, got them by 10 o'clock and would just go up and get pizza and ice cream again or something like that with the family, which was fine. But we really, really loved the piano bar. We had a lot of fun at the piano bar and just singing along with the tunes and that sort of thing. On one night, they had it open at 8 o'clock, and it was great. And we went for like a couple of hours, but then the rest of the nights, it didn't open till 10. So it kind of threw us off there. But overall, some of the other adult things that we did, we really enjoyed the comedy club. They had some really good comedians that came in and did some great comedy. The shows, not a big fan personally of the shows. They have like this Divas show, which they had a couple of really good singers, and I'm not going to rag on the entertainers because overall they were trying really hard, and I thought they did a decent job. It's just different. It's just wasn't anything, I guess, spectacular or special to talk about. And then the second big show that they had was a rock and roll show, and that was better, maybe because I really enjoyed the music and just listening to the music, and 3 of the singers really did a good job with it. So that was enjoyable. It's not Disney. It's not Disney entertainment. It's just like a totally different kind of entertainment.
Isn't that funny? On any not Disney ship, you're like, this is good. It's not Disney. I am very.
Isn't that terrible?
I am familiar. I have talked about this before. To me, the things that Carnival really does do better, in my opinion, is I think they do dessert really well. I think their evening entertainment for adults, in my opinion, I enjoy better. Like you hit on the 2 things I was even going to ask you about, the piano bar and the comedian. They are fantastic.
Yeah.
And even to have them on short cruises is awesome. And I hope that's something that Disney, at least like the piano bar, could add for future, in other ships when they get the new ships going.
Yep, that was a lot of fun. Love the piano bar.
Since this ship was kind of the same size as the Wonder and the Magic for the most part, how was getting on and off of it? We haven't talked about that, I guess, and then we'll move on to some of the Disney's topics. But how was it getting on and off of it there in Jacksonville?
Well, we are usually the type of people who love to get on like as soon as we can possibly get on. But this time I actually had to work up until almost 1 o'clock. And the kids, we sent them to school that day, and it was a complete surprise for them. So they thought they were going to the dentist. And my husband picked them up and just picked me up from work because I'm like, 5 miles away, picked me up from work on the way, and we're like, "Hey guys, here's the dentist." And they look up and there's the ship, and they're like, "Oh my gosh!" But anyway, so we didn't get there until, I think we weren't getting like parked and everything till at least 1:30, which is later for us. And so by then it wasn't that crowded, and we were on by 2:00 at the very latest. I mean, and that's with going through everything and getting our pictures and all of that. I mean, it was a pretty short line, so I'd say it was easy. They still had some food available, so we were able to just, by then your rooms are ready, so we were able to just throw our stuff in the room and then go grab some food, and we were on our way with the rest of the day.
And, before we get to the disembarkation, this is for your son's birthday. Did they do anything, or did you guys do anything special for his birthday on the ship? Or
They did. It was fun. The first night, they came out and said, "Happy birthday," and sang, and we're like, "Oh, it's not his birthday yet." But then they came out and did it 2 days later again for him, which I thought was really nice. And they remembered his name and called him by name. And we had ordered a cake, so you can order a cake from Carnival, and you can do it on Disney too. But it was only like $9, which was surprising for a cake. Nice. And they delivered it to our room that night. And they even, this was kind of neat too. They like had a really nice certificate that they put outside of our door with his name and thanking him for celebrating with Dr. Seuss and all of that, because Dr. Seuss, of course, is is basically their flagship for the kids for Carnival Cruises. We happened to be there on Dr. Seuss's birthday. So Dr. Seuss's birthday was that Friday. So they did a big celebration in the atrium. Really cool. Just baked 2 huge cakes and all these cupcakes and cookies and all this Dr. Seuss stuff. And then they had this huge balloon drop all the way from the top onto everybody below. And all the kids were going nuts and loving it, and gave out some Dr. Seuss prizes. It was pretty fun.
That's pretty cool. My youngest son, they had a Dr. Seuss. They all read Dr. Seuss books that day. So I forgot it was his birthday just recently. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah,
good timing.
Yeah. So then, getting off the ship was probably not too much of a problem as far as getting off.
We heard from a lot of the other people that they had a rough time, but we had one of the less expensive rooms down on the 4th floor, and we were right near the 3rd level to just basically walk our stuff down. Otherwise, you had to take elevators up to the top, all the way over across the ship, and then they were only allowing this one elevator set to go down, and it took people quite a while, it sounded like. So unless you had Faster to the Fun, which we didn't have that either, but we actually lucked out being on a lower floor, and we could just take our bags down, and we were actually off relatively quickly. I'd say 35 minutes on Monday morning, and the kids went to school. So that worked out.
Well, that sounds like the perfect trip to the dentist office, in my mind, I guess.
Yes.
I wish my mom would have taken me to the dentist like that.
I know, exactly. And my middle son was actually disappointed. He's like, "But are we still going to go to the dentist?"
That we're just joking. Well, cool. So,
yeah.
Did you rebook while you're on Carnival, or is that something that maybe just wait and see if something comes up in the future?
I think Carnival's kind of one of those, if it's a good deal that comes up and it's so easy for us doing it here, then we'll do it. But it's not something we necessarily plan like we do with the Disney cruises once a year.
Okay. Well, speaking of Disney cruises, you've been on 10 different ones, and I thought maybe we could just talk about some of your experiences across those 10 different cruises. And
sure.
Just to start off with, I guess, and every cruise is a little bit different, but which ones have been some of your favorite ones when you think back on the cruises you've been on? Maybe destination-wise.
My all-time favorite, ultimate one was we did a 2-week transatlantic cruise on the Magic.
Wow.
That was awesome. That was in 2013.
Okay.
And that was completely amazing. Loved that. And the transatlantic cruises, the boys were 2 and 4 at the time, so they weren't in school. And it's just a tough time for any family to go because it's literally in the middle of time that school is in session. So unless you have kids that can miss 2 weeks, it's really hard for them to go. So the kids clubs were like empty, pretty empty at the time. And even this ship was at very low capacity for a Disney cruise. So it just felt like we had the run of the ship. I mean, it was really amazing, super relaxing, wonderful trip.
Yeah, what do you have, like 5 or 6 sea days in a row as you go across there, or something?
We did.
Like that? Yeah,
it was at least 5 sea days. Yeah.
Okay. And what were some? Did you guys go across? Because I've been watching where they've gone in the last 2 years. They've tended to go a little bit further south and gone through the Azores and whatnot. And the year we went on the Magic 2 years ago, they stayed further north. Do you remember what some of the ports were that you guys went to on that one?
Yeah, so the first day we went to Castaway Cay, then we had like this huge stretch of 5 days, and then we went to Madeira, Portugal, and then we went to Cadiz, Spain, and then we hit Gibraltar was before that, I believe, and then we went to Gibraltar, which was awesome. Loved Gibraltar, wasn't sure what to expect, but that was a really cool port, and then Cadiz, and then Barcelona.
After all the sea days in a row, I'm thinking, I was like, well, we have shift to get up and do something tomorrow after 5.
I know. I know. And it's hard actually going across that way too, because you're losing hours of sleep. And they try to do it, gradually as you go across for those 5 days. They start taking an hour off every night, which helped for sure. But we were still really tired. So something to think about with little kids.
Yeah, that just sounds like an amazing, but you're right. I've looked at it, but trying to get our kids out of school, it's just not going to work timing-wise. But
no,
yeah, what an amazing one. Have you done Alaska yet?
We did with Norwegian.
Okay.
And that was before the kids and before we'd ever gone on Disney.
Okay.
And we loved Alaska. Yeah, that was really awesome. Would love to go back there and take the kids.
Okay. So what about other European cruises? Have you done anything else besides the transatlantic?
Nope. That was literally it. We did the transatlantic, and we haven't done any of the Mediterranean or any of those. I'd really enjoy doing that at some point, but we've pretty much stuck to Caribbean and Bahamian cruises.
Okay. Is there anything kind of thinking about, and I'm thinking about like they just released the summer 2019 season, since you've done so many Caribbean ports, and we'll talk about that in just a second. Is there any place that sticks out that you guys want to do as you start thinking about it? Like Christy's going on the Panama Canal cruise here in about a month and a half.
That's
something
my
like that,
dream.
maybe?
It's a month now.
Month, I'm sorry.
Yes, I heard her talk about that before, and I was like, oh, that's my dream. Really, really want to do a Panama Canal cruise. Heard it's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited. And we actually picked going this year. Like I kept going back and forth, but the school was the same issue. My son will start kindergarten in the fall. So for us, it was, okay, let's do this now.
Yeah.
Because taking 2 weeks off in a row will be a lot. If it works out ever timing-wise for the future, great. But we know that he can do it now. He can miss preschool for 2 weeks. So, yeah, that was our thought for sure, taking into account school.
That's very, very smart. Yep, do it now.
Well, let's talk about the Caribbean. And Christy's a lot smarter on the Caribbean than I am. I've only been down there once. But what are some of your favorite places to go down there? Do you guys prefer like the Eastern, the Western? Have you done a Southern? Or what are some of those stops you like down there?
I would love to do Southern. We have not done Southern. And definitely between Western and Eastern, I prefer Eastern. I like the islands better. It's warmer down there, it seems like, at least every time we've gone. And the water seems warmer. Just really enjoy the Eastern Caribbean stops.
Is there kind of a destination that you like to go to? So like Tortolas or something like that you guys like to go to? And then is there any special places you go to once you get there? Or does that make sense what I'm asking?
Yes. And honestly, we've only done 2 Eastern Caribbean. We're doing another one this next December. So we're excited about that. But so I can only say for what I've done out of those 2 spots, but we loved St. Martin, loved St. Thomas. Those were both just really, really beautiful islands. And the one that we went to in St. Martin, we went to, and I can't remember the name of the beach, but it's known as one of the most beautiful beaches in the world. And it was like a 45-minute ride on a bus to get out there. But it was worth it in the end. You just feel like you're in this private cove and you see all the sailboats going by and just a beautiful stretch of beach and a lot of fun. And coming from Florida, I mean, we have a beaches here, but it was still just such an impressive beach with the blue waters and the pure white sand, and just an amazing day. And that brings me to another point then. Speaking of that is, so people tend to not like Nassau, and we are one of those people. We're always like, oh, we're going to Nassau again. It's not always one of our favorite ports. But this last time I decided to book a day pass at the Hilton, which is not even a 10-minute walk, maybe a 10-minute walk from the port. And that was the best thing we have ever done, and absolutely loved it. So now we're like, whenever we go to Nassau, we're doing this again. Not very many people know about it now. Of course, they're all going to hear about it, but
I think you might be giving us a little too much credit, but we appreciate it.
Yeah, there you go. But it was seriously, what an awesome day it was. Not very many people, not crowded at all. You get your own private beach, you get a private pool. They have tons of hammocks. There were plenty of hammocks. I mean, even on Castaway Cay, you can't get a hammock half the time. So plenty of hammocks available. It includes a food credit, and 5 and under are free, which is also a nice thing. Yeah. So it was a really awesome day. Had a really good time.
How did you find out about the Hilton then? Is that something you booked through Disney, or is that just kind of something that you've researched and found out about?
I started doing some research on like TripAdvisor and other places of top things to do in Nassau, and then hotels came up, and people were like, oh, this is one of the best ways to go, is to go to a beach resort for the day, and they'd have these various beach passes. And then I travel a lot with Hilton, so I started searching Hiltons, and this was one of the most highly recommended hotels out of all of them in Nassau. It was super close to walk, didn't have to take a cab. I'm like, let's try it. Let's go for it. And absolutely loved it. I mean, literally, I had thought about, we're not going to maybe get off the ship, but it was my son's birthday, and I'm like, he's not going to be on the ship 2 days in a row. So finding this was really great, and they had an awesome time. They had tons of beach toys you can use. It included paddle boards and kayaks. Wow. I know. It was absolutely fantastic. Snorkeling equipment was all included. So it was great.
Oh, what a great tip. Thank you so much for that one. That sounds like an amazing time.
Sure, because Nassau's a tough one otherwise. Atlantis is expensive. We've been there a couple times. It's fine, but you don't always want to keep going back there. And honestly, we had a way better time than we ever had in Atlantis.
Well, awesome. So now you've been on the Dream class ships, the Dream and the Fantasy, and the Magic and the Wonder. Which one? I'm not going to ask you to pick your favorite ship. You can if you want to, but what are the
it's the Magic.
The Magic. Is that because was that your first time or first ship that you went on, or why the Magic?
It was our first ship, and then it was also the ship we went on for our 2-week transatlantic. Okay. So I think we really fell in love with it there.
Yeah.
That's probably why. It just holds a special place in our heart. But I love the Fantasy. So out of the Dream and the Fantasy, I definitely like the Fantasy better.
Okay, and what makes you pull towards that?
Part of it's probably destinations. That's probably a big part of it. So we tend to have had a better time, I guess, on the Fantasy. But it also feels like, and I've heard this from other people, that on the Dream, because they're shorter cruises, that sometimes they don't get to know people as well. So the staff doesn't get to know you as well. And they just seem a little bit more rushed because they're constantly having to turn things over. And I don't know if this is true or not, but somebody else claims that they put more of the crew who are learning on the Dream because they are shorter cruises, and those more seasoned end up on the longer cruises like the Fantasy.
Well, and part of that is that the staff also gets to pick. They get to bid for, Steve, just like you with flying, they get to bid for the ships they want to be on. So those turnover days are a lot of work for everybody. Mm-hmm. And so it takes a lot out of them. The day before is a lot of work. The day of is a lot of work. And, on a 3-day cruise, that's like the whole thing. So the cast members also are picking the more experienced to be in the other destinations.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Oh, and they have more days off. So they would get more days off on the longer voyages as well.
Right. We've definitely had much better encounters with the staff on Fantasy than on the Dream.
So what about some of your favorite places to go, or maybe your favorite restaurants on the ships as you've kind of seen all 4 of them. What are some of your favorite bars or restaurants that you guys like to go to?
And I don't know why I'm blanking on the name of the bars with the with all of the
cities,
big
right?
TV screens. Yes,
Yes.
Why
We
am I
talked about
blanking
that
on
last time.
I know. I'm just blanking on the name. But we absolutely
Skylines?
love going there. Skyline.
Yeah.
Yes, Skyline. That is probably our favorite. We really enjoy doing that. And for restaurants, I always make sure we don't miss Animator's Palette. I love Animator's Palette, and the kids love Animator's Palette. We used to not be a big fan of karaoke, so I'm glad that that's being redone, and I'm excited to see that coming out as Rapunzel's Royal Table. That'll be very exciting, which, by the way, when we were in Freeport, we saw it in Dry Dock.
Oh, cool.
We saw the magic. I took some pictures. I'm like, there it is. It's getting.
Can you send us some pictures so we can post it?
Oh yeah, of course.
Thank you.
So that was kind of neat to see that. And then what is it? Parrots Cay or something like that is what it used to be called. The Old One and the Wonder. That was also not one of our favorites. And then we like Royal Table. I think partly because of the menu that they have. They have a nice menu there. Yeah, and we love Remy and Paulo. So we make sure that we do at least one or the other on every single cruise, but usually both. if
you
we're
guys
on one of the bigger ships?
Are you guys adventurous eaters?
Yes, probably. I would probably say we're relatively adventurous. My husband more so than I am, but surprisingly, I used to not be and used to be very picky. And just over the years, I've just found myself liking to try more and more different things. I don't know if my taste buds are getting old or something and they need new stuff, but yeah, no, I think we like trying new things.
I feel like with Remy, you would have to be an adventurous eater. I could be wrong in that too, so I guess I would like you to school me on that a little bit if I am, but do you have a say over any of the courses, or is it just that they bring you food?
You have a little bit of a say. So they'll have 2 different menus, one by their chef, who's the French-inspired chef, and then one by their chef from Victoria and Albert's. And we absolutely love Victoria and Albert's. Completely amazing. And you know, those chefs, and don't quote me necessarily on this, but I believe they're 3-star Michelin chefs. And so they've actually designed the menus, but just really, really interesting foods that, and maybe that is part of it a lot of the times at a restaurant, you know. So maybe that's part of the appeal, and it's things that are brought from all over the world. I don't know. It's just, we love that sort of adventure that we go through. And I guess you're right. Maybe to some degree, you have to be willing to try some new things and be open-minded about it. But you can sort of pick and choose. So like I was saying, the 2 different menus. Sorry, I feel like I'm going all over the place. I'll bring it back around. But you can pick and choose from the 2 menus. But they prefer that you sort of try to keep on the same track of either the French menu or the American menu. But like what me and my husband do is we'll get one of each, and then we can try each other's. And then they'll just come out throughout the whole course of the evening and say, "Chef thought you might like to try this," and just bring something else out in a new course, or here, try some champagne, or try this or that. And it's just an experience, I guess, if you will.
It's awesome. And just, I'm sure most of the listeners know, but for the listeners, Remy and Paulo are the additional charge restaurants on the ship, and Remy is only on the Dream class. Paulo is on all the ships. Paulo is Italian inspired and is $25. How much is it per person? $30 a person? I think it's $30.
It's now $30. It used to be $25, yeah. And Remy is $95, which is a lot, I will admit. But again, I think it's just not an experience that most people would get otherwise, and would probably pay a pretty penny for it in the States, especially if you compare that to like Victoria and Albert's and going there for dinner. It's that kind of world-class service, just with the wait staff, and they'll have sometimes like an opera singer coming by, or I mean, it's really neat.
You know what? I've never really looked. Where is Remy? So Paolo's on the back of the ship for the Magic of the Wonder. Where's Remy? Is it in the back as well? So you kind of have a view looking out, or where is it at?
Yeah, same spot.
Okay.
So you go to the back of the ship and they say, are you here for Remy or Paolo? And you go one side to Remy, one side for Paolo. And then behind them is I believe it's called the Meridian Bar.
Yep.
And that overlooks the water. And that's a really neat place to get a nice cocktail and look out at the water as well.
And anybody can go to the Meridian Bar. So
Yes.
anybody can go up there. And they have outdoor seating plus indoor seating. So it's a night, and it's almost always empty.
It is. It's crazy. I'm not sure why. And maybe people don't realize that anyone can go there. And they'll do some of their tastings there as well, because we really enjoy going to some of the various tastings that Disney offers on the ship.
Can you order food there too at the Meridian Bar? I'm sure. I mean, obviously not what you're going to get at Remy, but or a full course like that. But can you get food there too?
I don't
think so.
believe so.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing anything like that.
Okay. Let's talk about cabins. Where do you guys kind of gravitate towards when you're looking for your cruise? The back of the ship, the front, the middle, up, down? What do you guys kind of think? Any thoughts on that, Carol?
We're not real picky, and we are really lucky we don't get seasick, and because I know that can be a big issue for some people. Like this last cruise we were on with Carnival, we were coming back through that winter storm, and wow, was it rocking. Like rocking so much that on the sea day, it was pretty empty, the ship, because people were so sick they were in their cabins and like literally throwing up places and stuff, and they were just telling everybody, stay in your ships or in your cabin if you don't feel well. But we were just like, whoa, we're fine. Just had to hold on to stuff as we were walking around. But anyway, I know that that's a big concern for some people. So, and that's why they tend to gravitate towards the middle of the ship, where you might not feel it quite as much, some of that rocking.
Mm-hmm.
But if we can, we like to just be in the middle, because then we can go to either end a lot quicker. Because when you're on one end, of course, then you have to go all the way to the front, potentially, for some of the various activities, although then you're closer to some of the other stuff.
Right.
But with the kids' clubs being in the middle, and our kids loving to go up and down to the kids' clubs, sometimes being in the middle is nice there as well.
What about evening entertainment? So we know from the discussion we just had about Carnival that you like to go to the comedian piano bar, that you went to the shows, but they weren't fantastic, or they weren't exactly your favorite. But what about the shows on Disney, or what about evening entertainment on Disney?
So we've seen every single one of the shows now, but we still love going to them. Just love those Broadway style shows. And I think that's part of the reason we gravitate to Disney, is because we enjoy all the characters and the shows and the entertainment that they have in general. So seeing those shows is always a big treat. And the kids love them too. Kids were not interested really in the shows on the Carnival ship. So we do that. And then afterwards, the kids will go to the kids club, and then we'll either hit Skyline, or we have been to Keys before and just had a cocktail in there. It's definitely more, I think, low key and laid back on the Disney ships than it would be like, for instance, on Carnival. Definitely a lot more partying going on the Carnival cruises.
Well, especially 4-day Carnival cruises. I mean, in general, there's more partying, but the shorter, that is where they sort of got their, reputation for being the party ships, are the short cruises.
Oh, gotcha. I guess that makes sense. And we're not a big fan, I think, of the smoke that would waft around the ship. Yes. And it creeps into all kinds of places on the Carnival cruise, and that's something that you never have to worry about with the Disney ships is that, and that's nice. I will tell you kind of a funny story. We they had a little arcade in the Carnival cruise, and my daughter's like, no, I told you I wanted to go to the place with all the video games, like hundreds of video games. We're like, what are you talking about? And we finally figured it out when she pointed to the casino was where she wanted to go for all the video games. We're like, oh yeah, no, honey, we're not going to those video games.
Oh, that is fantastic. That's like a story you need to tell for the rest of her life.
Yes, exactly. Too funny. One other thing I forgot to say, we love doing karaoke too, so we'll go to like the family karaoke that Disney has, and they actually had some family karaoke on Carnival, and that was fun. The kids got to sing Great Balls of Fire and a couple other songs. I had fun with that. So that's one of the other things we like. and I know this is not Disney, but Carnival also has a game show that they do, which was pretty neat, the Hasbro game show,
Yes.
and the kids got to go on stage for that, and they had a fun time. So that was a neat family activity. But
That's actually good to know that they have that throughout all their ships, because I knew they had it on the newest one, but I didn't know if they had it on everything. And because we went back to Carnival really quick, was there smoking in the piano bar on Carnival?
no, I don't believe
Okay.
so.
Which is good. So it does look like they are starting to limit the indoor venues to be the casino then, is my...
Yes, and I think they only had one other lounge where it was allowed, but we saw it even on the open decks, which I wasn't sure if that was allowed or not, but there was quite a bit of smoking.
think on half of the deck. So one
Okay,
half
gotcha.
allows smoking and the other half doesn't. I don't know, though, if they do a good job of telling people not to smoke, but it is like a half a ship situation.
Gotcha.
Well, as we kind of wrap things up here, I guess the one final question I have is, since you live in Florida, I know you've talked about the Florida residency rates that you kind of watch every Monday, which I now know that Disney puts out. And military rates, if anybody's military out there, they come out on Monday as well. But do you guys tend to rebook once you're on the ship? Do you take advantage of that, or do you kind of just watch those Florida residency rates? Do you have any tips as far as that goes?
We kind of do both, and we're doing more so of the rebooking now. We'll just go ahead and do that because there haven't been as many Florida resident rates in recent years. Maybe I told too many people, but I think it's just a matter of, there's just a high demand, and until Disney gets these 3 new ships out, I think it's going to continue to go that way. So we try to take advantage now. The last 3 times we've rebooked on the ship.
And with those 3 ships coming, is there any place in the world you'd love to see them sail that you guys could jump on and go visit that they haven't been sailing yet?
I would like to see them go back to Liverpool. I believe they went there one time. That was on one of their transatlantic, just because we have family out there.
Okay.
It might be a fun excuse to go. But we'd love to do one of the Canada, New England trips. And I know they have just a few of those, but that would be a lot of fun. And I almost wish they would have one from Florida that just goes all the way up there and does like a week and comes back.
That
But I
would be
don't
a
know
lot
if
of
they would do
different
something
clothes,
like
though.
that. Yes, it would, but that's okay. We just throw it in the car. And so.
Yeah, I think this year they're running one that goes all the way into the Great Lakes, into Quebec City, and I think that would be
wow.
amazing. Yeah, to go all the way
That
there.
would be awesome.
Yeah, I think they run.
Not exactly the Great Lakes, though.
Or isn't it?
No, it doesn't connect.
Oh, I was thinking Quebec was in one of the Great Lakes, but I'm the worst with my geography up there. I should know it.
This I know.
I know Lake Michigan. I know Lake Ontario, and that's about it, I guess. So, well, cool.
Lake Superior does connect to Canada. It's just in a different location.
Gotcha. Well, any other questions, Christy, before we finish up today?
I have a question. I want you both to feel a little bit sorry for me. Who in this podcast had it snow in their state today?
Oh my gosh, not me.
Just me.
Not me.
Just me. It's March 7th, and we've had snow, and I am not liking it at all.
And we're talking about the Caribbean, so now you want to come back.
There we go.
So I'm liking it even less.
Well, thanks so much.
But in 1 month, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just got really excited. In 1 month, I leave to go on my cruise.
Yes, that's awesome.
So I'll be warm in a month.
Good for you. Good for you.
So there you go. Sorry. Go on and close the show.
Yeah,
now.
well, thank you so much, Carol, for coming back. It's been wonderful talking to you again, and we really appreciate all of your knowledge that you've been able to share with our listeners about your time sailing with Disney and Carnival recently. And what's your next cruise that you guys have lined up before we go?
Right now, the only one we have booked is December 1st. We're going on an Eastern Caribbean on the Fantasy.
For the Very Merry Time cruise again, right?
Yes, another Very Merry Time. So I'm excited, but we're going to keep our eye out for Florida resident rates in between then.
Well, thanks again, Carol. We really appreciate you coming back, and we hope to be talking to you soon after you get that next Florida residency trip before your Very Merry Time cruise.
That sounds awesome.
All
Thanks.
right. Take care, Carol. Bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, once again, I'd like to thank Carol for coming on and sharing her and her family's experiences on both Carnival Cruise Line and Disney Cruise Line as well. As you can tell, we recorded this show about a month ago, and Christy is on her way through the Panama Canal. I think they're on day 3 right now. So if you'd like to follow along with her adventures, she posted a really cool picture on Castaway Cay yesterday. You can find her at the DCL Podcast on Facebook. Also, you can find her on her Facebook page, Pack Your Pixie Dust. And I'm not sure if she'll be on Twitter or not, but on Twitter you can follow her at PackYR Pixie Dust, as she and her family cruise through the Panama Canal here coming up in the next couple of days. Pretty excited for her. Well, if you've enjoyed this show and our podcast in general, and you know somebody else who would enjoy it, we'd love it if you'd pass it on to them. That helps us get the word out about our podcast to those who enjoy Disney Cruise Line and just the Disney community in general. If you'd like to get in touch with me between now and our next show, you can reach me on Facebook at DCL Podcast. Also, you can find me on Twitter at DCL Podcast as well. And if you'd like to come on and share your tips and knowledge or just talk about Disney Cruise Line with us, go ahead and reach out to me on either Facebook or Twitter. We hope to have an email address coming up here soon. I just haven't had the time to get that set up. But once we get that done, I will get that out to everybody out there in the community as well. It might be a little bit easier to get a hold of us that way. So between now and our next podcast, if you are heading out on your next cruise or adventure, all of us here at the DCL Podcast would like to wish you fair winds and safe journeys as you head out on that next adventure. And we'll see you next time on the DCL Podcast.